The Big 12's college football playoff picture is becoming a little bit more clear. Now, our first college football playoff ranking is not out yet. And if today we were to seed the college football playoff based solely off the AP poll, which I'm going to go more in depth later about the AP poll and how horrendous it is. So thank God we're not seeding the college football playoff based on the AP poll. But if we did, BYU would be the 4th ranked team in the country. They would be behind Oregon, Georgia, Miami, who would also be in this scenario conference champions of a Power 5 conference. And then BYU would be the 4th team in that mix as the champion of the Big 12. And it looks like right now, all things point to BYU, who's the highest rated team in this conference in the AP poll, being the Big 12 champion. From there, we have an outside shot at sneak. And I know, oh, here he goes again on this whole 3-4 team. What if we can, at the very least, within spitting distance, with Iowa State sitting at 12 where they are right now, and they're not getting a lot of national respect. With BYU sitting at 9 right now, and honestly, they're not getting enough national respect. With Kansas State at 17, I am begging you, I'm imploring you to see the way that this could shake out down the stretch based on how the schedule of the Big 12 favors the college football playoff glory of this conference. Let's go to Colorado first. They have Texas Tech, Utah, Kansas, Oklahoma State, all 4 winnable. You know what? The best part of that whole thing is they don't play Kansas State, they don't play BYU, and they do not play Iowa State moving forward. That's all good and well. They finished 10-2. They're a national brand enough that you start thinking, could Colorado sneak into 11 if they're facing another 10-2 SEC team, a 10-2 Big Ten team? There will be, we're going to start talking bubble watch, and Colorado will be on it, and they don't play any of the juggernauts moving forward. We could feasibly have Colorado go 10-2 in the regular season and be, even if they don't go to the Big 12 championship, be talking about the Buffs as a college football playoff outsider. There's also, this is beautiful, there is also a crash course right now to Iowa State and Kansas State playing later this season that could further our Big 12 playoff agenda. But before I even get there, let's go to BYU's remaining schedule at Utah. By the way, I will be there. I have been offered a free ticket, which was a very sweet, nice thing. I will divulge more on that later, but I've decided to buy flights and go see the holy war between BYU and Utah, where Utah could do the funniest thing ever. Their season at this point hinges on just one thing. Their season ends after November 9th. Utah does not care past that about anything. They only want to beat BYU. BYU should be favored. Who knows what Vegas will do? Vegas doesn't like the Cougars. Vegas doesn't like Big 12 teams that are actually good at football, I guess. Oh, yeah, they had a real hunch there. And now BYU gets a bye week going into Utah. After that, Kansas at home. BYU, while they did get thrashed by Kansas last year, has proven this season is completely different. This season is completely different. You've got winnable games in which you'll be favored. Kansas, Arizona State, Houston. Maybe you won't against Arizona State. It'll be a very tight line. Those 4, guess what? You've already gotten your Kansas State out of the way. You get to avoid Iowa State. You get to avoid Colorado. The top teams, the top ranked teams in the Big 12 aren't there for BYU. So if they go 4-0, if Colorado goes 4-0, we are putting ourselves in a very good spot nationally in the college football playoff picture. And I know what you're maybe still thinking is like, I can't believe this dude. They gave him a microphone and he's going to keep saying Colorado over and over as a playoff contender. I am. They have a Heisman caliber quarterback. They have the Heisman Trophy winner on their team. And while their offensive line isn't great, they're improving. Their defense is improving. And they're a big story. Deion Sanders is a big story. ESPN would love to sink its teeth into that school getting into the college football playoff. Then there's Iowa State. Their schedule moving forward. Love what they have the next 3 weeks. The game at Kansas, the Texas Tech game is, yes, you should win that game. The game at Kansas, still not worried about. Cincinnati at home. This is a tougher schedule than what BYU has. Cincinnati's good. We've seen Texas Tech be good. Kansas was the preseason Big 12 champion, though obviously now they're bad. Then Iowa State goes to Utah, and that should be a decimation. Like analytically, a decimation when those two square off. Then Kansas State at home. Those next four, Iowa State 7-0. Those next four crucial games, you avoid Colorado, BYU, Kansas State. You can keep winning. Then that fifth game is where you get it. I'm going to get there in a second. Because now I want to bounce to Kansas State, who has Houston on the road this week. And maybe that's a tough game now. Kansas State has won 4 straight dating back to that BYU loss. They are a one-loss team. They're a top 15 caliber team in the country right now. At Houston. Then home against Arizona State, home against Cincinnati. Those are 2 top-end Big 12 teams. Houston's playing better, but you'll still be favored in all 3. Kansas State will still likely win all 3. And what does that set up? Paint it with me in your brain right now. Undefeated 12-0 BYU. That is, you've solidified your spot in the college football playoff. You don't have to win the Big 12. If BYU goes 12-1, you are in the college football playoff, period. I don't want they'll find a way to leave us out. They won't. I can assure you they can't. They can't leave 12-1 out. And at that point, Iowa State 11-0, Kansas State 10-1, those 2 teams squaring off in the Big 12 in the play-in for the Big 12 championship game. If at that point, Kansas State beats Iowa State, both those teams finish at 11-1. Okay, you're working with me here. Both those teams are 11-1. Kansas State goes to the Big 12 championship. Now the committee is going to have to decide to leave 11-1 Iowa State out, who at 11-1 will by then be solidified in the top 10, be in the conversation of the top 10, be around that 9-10 range. They've got 11 wins in the regular season. That's one off of the most you can have. And Kansas State would too. You're looking at number 5 BYU, number 7 Kansas State, number 9 Iowa State. Going into the Big 12 championship. That is 3 teams in the college football playoff conversation. That is how the Big 12 is positioning itself in the college football playoff conversation. And then Colorado is at 13, outside looking in, but right there. And then if you really want to talk semantics, that's where you have Iowa State at 11-1, hope to get in. Kansas State win the Big 12 championship. They get in, no doubt. And then BYU at 12-1, also in. 3 schools. If we have 3 schools, at least in that area at the end of this year, that'd be huge for us. And it's possible. That's what our playoff picture looks like. It is. And I pitched that to you like 2-3 weeks ago. And it's still there. It's still happening. Believe it. Coming up, the AP poll will be fired into the sun. It makes me want to pull my hair out every time. On Locked On Big 12, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's show, it's brought to you by Game Time. I live in Savannah, Georgia now, and we have a minor league hockey team, the Savannah Ghost Pirates. And boy, did I have no idea I would love minor league hockey as much as I do. I go to Game Time, and I have curated deals, super deals, seat views, lowest price guaranteed, all of the good bells and whistles. Click a little button that has the all-in pricing. You can toggle it, and it shows the total up front. And then I see, wait a second, Savannah Ghost Pirates, minor league hockey, Wednesday night, free beer night, $12. Oh, you tell me I get to go to free beer night for $12 because Game Time's going to foot that bill? Yeah, they are. You know why? Because download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Oh, but Drake, you said the ticket was $12. That's an $8 discrepancy. That means the ticket's free. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Buddy, it's Game Time.